everyone, and welcome to another episode, another podcast of intelliTALKS. I'm here with my friend Bruno from Blue Dot. Hello, Bruno. How are you today?
Hi, Marcel. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm very good, thank you. I'm happy to have you here, and I'm sure that we'll touch base on some very nice ideas around around Vendor Central. Sorry, I'm talking about Seller Central too much. So Vendor Central is actually the subject for today that you're an expert on, and I'm eager to let us know more about it. But before that, Bruno, tell everyone a bit about yourself and how Blue Dot got to start, and tell us a bit about the beginning.
Yeah, well, so first about me, I started my e-commerce journey in 2016. At the time, Vendor had just started seriously in 2019. And when I started, we actually got into the first batch here from the UK, the company that I was working, in 4.5 years. So when we started, I started with 5 marketplaces in Europe. And when I left the project, when I left the company, sometimes we just need to go and find a new challenge. I left them with different 17 markets global. So when I left, it was multi-million pound business across 17 different countries, from Mexico to India, Saudi. A lot of friends done, a lot of challenges. I am very passionate about what I do. I love e-commerce, but my expertise is mainly on Vendor Central. It's not something that a lot of people know in detail. And I created Blue Dot last year because I noticed that a lot of the companies and friends that I was talking, they actually had a lot of doubts that could be sorted with training and measuring their business and what challenges they were having and implementing new processes. And thank you for the opportunity. I hope that today we can give some details to people for them to better understand what's Vendor Central, what's Amazon Vendor Central, and what is Amazon doing with those relationships with their suppliers.
That sounds great. Also, I've fixed my microphone in the process, so I think you can hear me better right now.
Yeah, I can. I wouldn't call it that there was some issue, but definitely it's a difference. Yeah,
it's an improvement.
yeah.
Super. So that sounds great, Bruno. I'm sure that you're very experienced in the Vendor Central area, and you're gonna share with us some very intriguing facts. So for everyone out there that has thought about joining the Vendor Central area of the business, Bruno here will tell us more. So Bruno, whenever you're ready, we can bring in the presentation that you've prepared, and
Yes,
let's
do
see.
it.
Let's see what we can see. All right.
Well, so Marcel, first of all, I would like to start with what's the main differences between Seller Central and Vendor Central. A lot of people, I'm sure, that are listening are seller suppliers of Amazon or vendor, but definitely there's a big difference here. And the main difference starts that you can open a seller account with Amazon and you will be selling your own products using Amazon as a platform, as a web platform to do your business. But Vendor Central is actually the B2B business of Amazon. So meaning that you will be supplying Amazon directly. That alone tells us that it's not a very open space. So Amazon, this is a program that it's by invitation only. You cannot go to Amazon and ask for a Vendor Central account. So Amazon usually approaches brands, official distributors that have some products that they're interested to grow their category. So basically the main difference is that if you're seller through Seller Central, then you will be receiving your orders from your customers. Probably you are dispatching them in a drop shipping model to the customers, or you're using Amazon FBA and Amazon will dispatch them to your customer. With Vendor Central, you're actually supplying Amazon, as we just mentioned. So you will be receiving the orders from Amazon directly, and you will be delivering the stock to the fulfillment centers. Amazon calls their warehouses fulfillment centers for many. Since the beginning of Amazon, Jeff Bezos was always very keen to call them fulfillment centers. And so since you are selling the stock to Amazon, then Amazon, they own the stock and they will make the delivery to the customers. So this, it's very quick. One of the main differences of Seller Central and Vendor Central.
So selling in bulk mainly to Amazon actually, and
yes,
at a lower price. Definitely
yeah,
a lower price for Amazon to get a good profit out of it.
Yeah, that's a good concept, Marcel, actually, because it's B2B. It's like a wholesale model. So Amazon will buy from brands and official distributors from what brands they are interested. They usually consider new vendors to bring on board according to category growth targets and other details that they want to bring people on board.
Right. So Amazon can reach out maybe to a third-party e-com website, let's say an outside business that doesn't have a Seller Central account. Can they do that, or you have to have a Seller Central account to be eligible for an invitation to Vendor Central?
You don't need a Seller Central account. Usually what happens, yes, Amazon contacts first if you have a seller account, because if you think about it, they have access to the data, and they use it to measure the potential of the brand and the business. But you don't need it. There's a lot of stories of brands that didn't even wanted to be at Amazon, and they rejected even. I know a few brands that received and keep receiving invitations from Amazon to Vendor Central, and due to their own internal strategies, they don't want to engage with Amazon. In those situations, Amazon, what they usually do, they search for an official distributor for that brand or products, but you don't need to have a seller account. It's a great advantage because you're actually showing Amazon that you own a strong brand, and they can see the results. But you don't need it. I've seen it happen a lot of times that they don't even have a seller account, and one day they receive an email with an invite. And actually, part of the work of an Amazon vendor manager is to search for those brands and those products to help the growth of the category.
Right, I understand. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, it's clear so far.
Yeah,
real nice
concept. I'm going to give very quick an overview about what's Amazon Vendor Central. So we just cover the key differences from Seller Central. So on Vendor Central, you will receive an order from Amazon. Usually it's in bulk. It's not one product like when you have a seller account. It will be a box, 2 boxes, 1 pallet, depend on the category that you're in and the product that you're supplying. So you'll receive an order, hopefully a lot of orders a day. I just spoke with a friend this morning, and he's on this cycle of Amazon Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And today he received 167 orders. So you can see how the size of the business through Vendor Central, it's a bit different from seller. So you receive the order and you process it. So Amazon, when they send you an order, Amazon actually wants to know if you're accepting it. And in an order, you can have items that you have in stock and others are out of stock. So you will tell Amazon what you have and what you are going to deliver. Amazon is very keen to have all the details. They will ask you, what are you delivering, the date that you will be delivering. So that's processing a PO. After that, it will be internal, and you will send that sales order, that PO, to your warehouse team. They will do the pick and pack. Sorry, it's a bit of a complex process. If you don't know it, it might be a bit confusing in the beginning. So you will have to submit an ASN. An ASN, it's an Amazon, it's an advanced shipment notification. You will tell Amazon, what are you dispatching and when are you delivering? How many boxes, what's inside each box, how many pallets. After that, you have your relationship with your carrier. This is also a very important part because Amazon, for Vendor Central side, they work with preferred carriers. A preferred carrier, a big difference is that they have access to CARP. CARP is It's a web interface for the carriers that are partners with Amazon for the delivery. So CARP means Carrier Appointment Request Portal. So once you do the pick and pack and you contact your carrier, you'll give them the ASN number. And with that number, the carrier will go to the Amazon portal CARP, and they will tell Amazon when they will deliver. And after that, then it comes the part of invoicing Amazon. So seeing it like this, it's actually a bit simple, but we are covering ahead how it's not so simple sometimes, and to be part of a cross-functional Amazon team in a brand, it's not as easy as it looks sometimes. So I'm going now to show you my vision about Amazon Vendor Central, how sometimes it can look like a bit of a maze. And we call
that's Amazon in general.
It's Amazon in general. I know a little bit. I'm not the next specialist like you and other people, but on this side, Marcel, I call it more of a maze because you actually need the training. And when you consider that if it's by invitation only, there's not a lot of people that have the opportunity to work with Vendor Central. I am, through my career and the hard work, before I created Blue Dot, I worked with two huge companies that gave me the opportunity to work with Vendor Central. But without that opportunity, since it's by invitation only, there's not a lot of people that can help you to figure it out. So that's why I see it kind of a maze. And that part of the maze is that you can see how, and this is just small examples in those bullet points of how different parts need to play together to succeed on Amazon Vendor Central. You have the sales contact, you have the logistics, you have the finance. This I call it as the cross-functional team. They all need to act as one, connected with the main point of contact from sales, and they have a lot of tasks. They have daily tasks, weekly tasks, monthly and quarterly tasks. And if you can't see where to do the path, how to walk, if someone doesn't grab your hand in the beginning and walks with you, it won't be easy. And also, what I see sometimes companies that get invited to Vendor Central, they are proud and they are right, because they should consider themselves proud to supply Amazon directly. But I see a lot of companies doing an error, that it's thinking that whatever they have on logistics, as an example, it will be adjustable to Amazon. And sometimes it's not as simple, because Amazon has huge requirements and compliances for the vendors that you don't have on Seller Central, as an example. So this is why I think it's kind of a maze. And if you don't have that visibility, someone to help you, it might get rough. And with Amazon, whatever you make an error, you will just pay them. They will just invoice you. That's why it might be useful for companies when they're starting, or even if they already have their own business, to have someone to help, to review, to audit, to train the teams, and to implement processes.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very important. Like you said, you can learn on your own money and time, and pay the fine for every mistake that you make, or you can hire a professional and get help with it. I'm sure that a lot of entrepreneurs out there prefer the second option. Just hire someone that's good at it and get the knowledge.
And that's the reason, the main reason I created Blue Dot. It's to help, because I saw how frustrating it can be. And every time I get a new client on board, I know how they hate me to say this, because sometimes they're not in a very good place, but I love it. I love the game, and I have fun with it. And if I don't feed new challenges from chargebacks or whatever, it gets boring for me. So my clients sometimes just say, "Why are you smiling? You shouldn't be smiling." And I just say, "I'm smiling because we're going to sort this, and I have a plan." And it can get fun, but I understand how sometimes it doesn't come as simple.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that, especially at the beginning, and for someone new with. Oh, there we go.
And then I will go then directly, when you're starting beginning, this will be the main role of that cross-functional team. I call it cross-functional, Marcel, because this is one of my vision. This is my concept. it goes across different departments, but it will be centralized in the sales contact. So the sales contact won't just be like a regular salesperson. It will be not as simple if we have just that salesperson just processing the POs, doing the analytics. It's not as simple. That person is the main point of contact of Amazon. What does that mean? It means that he will be working along with someone from finance, with someone from logistics, and reporting directly to the head of e-commerce or the CEO, depending on the company. And this person needs to be able to multitask. He needs to be in a lot of places at the same time. He needs to be able to join a team that sometimes it's working for a company for some time now. And in the person of the sales, he wants to change everything. I can give you examples sometimes with the logistics teams, and some challenges come from the logistics team because I've met people that are doing that job for 6, 8, 17 years. And then Amazon gets on board, and then someone like me gets on board and creates new processes and train people. And it's an obvious question. Why should I do that? We always did it this way. Well, we need to do it like this because Amazon requires us to do it like this. And that person also needs to be aware of his role or her role in the team. He needs to be aware that he's managing them without being their manager. He needs to bring those people on board. Yes, okay, it can be frustrating. It will take some more time, but we need to do it because it's part of the key for our brand strategic plan.
Yeah.
So that main point of contact needs to be a lot of people in just one, and it needs to be very efficient with some other tools like Excel. The web interface of Amazon Vendor Central is not simple to like the Seller Central. Of course, they have some differences, but Vendor Central allows you access to different analytics, different reporting, and it needs to be running all of that at the same time.
Yeah.
After that, sorry, Marcel, I don't know if you have any questions here.
No questions.
No.
Just wanted to remark something, that you're looking for a Superman for the job.
Yeah,
so you need to hire and train a Superman.
Not exactly a Superman, but it needs to be someone at least with these 3-4 bullet points: multitasking, loves a challenge, loves to learn new thing, to be
Soft
able
skills.
to bring to be able to bring people on board for the changes that will need to be done. And sometimes and that happens a lot, people that will be older than you, and you are just saying we need to do it different. And we know sometimes people are a bit resistant to challenges and change, right?
Exactly. And ultimately to fight Amazon. So yeah, it's
exactly. It's like a Superman. Yeah, I'm gonna put an S in that tie.
Yeah. Super. Yeah.
And then after that, we have the logistics. So the logistics will be part of that cross-functional team. I usually advise my clients to have a single point of contact. It happens majority of the cases, it will be the head of supply, because it needs to be someone that can make the decision, specifically in the beginning when we start, because we are implementing changes, we are bringing new things on board. And the head of supply or head of logistics is that person that can make the decisions, can help us communicate those decisions to the rest of the logistics team. And within the logistic part of supplying Amazon Vendor Central, I consider to have two different parts: the warehouse and the carrier. Why is it different? Well, usually the warehouse team is in-house, and it's a separated relationship that we have with the carriers. So the warehouse team will be responsible for the pick and pack, to get the labels, to apply the labels to boxes, to submit that ASN that we mentioned earlier, to do all of that job. And then in the end of that process, that SOP, then it needs to contact the carrier. And once it contacts the carrier, then you pass the ball, we can call it like that, to the carrier. The carrier, it's always, or I always advise my clients, a preferred carrier to Amazon. Once he receives the communication for a new purchase order to deliver, he knows what to do. He collects and he delivers. And Of course, it's not as simple as this sometimes. As we mentioned, there's a lot of processes. Logistics, in my experience, it's always the part that presents more challenges. I just meant to mention a few. You're coming in, you step in, and you need to change a lot of things. Why do I need to pack this and it's only 4 a box? We usually put 8. Well, to Amazon is only 4 because you need a bubble wrap. You need to prepare it. Amazon is very keen the way they receive the stock in their warehouse. And with Amazon Vendor Central, you sign specific agreements, but one of the agreements that all the vendors have for returns, it's called DOA, it's damage on arrival. So if you don't prepare your shipment and the inbound team at the Amazon Fulfillment Center notices a dent or something wrong with the stock they're delivering, they will just return it back. And they will input the costs of the handling in their fulfillment center and the transport of the costs back to you. So Amazon will never lose. We can almost say that, but we just need to know the requirements so that we can play fair in the game with Amazon.
Yeah. The same is with Seller Central. You have a lot of restrictions in terms of the length, the width, I don't know, the sizing, how many units to put per case, per cartoon. So yeah.
Yeah, it's very similar, Marcel. One of the main differences is, or one key difference is that because Amazon is buying their own stock, right? A seller might work with Amazon on FBA model, but they are not as restrictive as they are with vendor because Amazon is buying that stock. So they won't receive it if it has any dents, any damage, any visible damage. They will not receive it. They will send it back.
Definitely, because they cannot resell it. It's
damaged. That creates sometimes some funny stories because Amazon sends it back and there's no dent, there's no mark. So errors will always happen, but Amazon, and that I can assure everybody, and I think every vendor knows that, Amazon can play fair if you know the rules of the game. Because if you know the rules of the game from my experience, and I can say that Amazon can play it fair.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Whenever they do a mistake, you have to push them and you can get the money out of that. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I have a lot of funny stories where I showed Amazon where they were actually making an error and it was not the responsibility. And Amazon was fair in every of those situations. Sometimes it took 2 weeks, sometimes it took 9 months.
Yeah.
But in the end, they would always understand and help.
That's important, knowing what to do and how to do it.
Yeah. So the last part of the cross-functional team, it's the finance contact. Once again, Amazon, it will be too simple. If you will just go through that very simple overview of receiving a PO, preparing to dispatch, the carrier will collect, and they will deliver, and then you will invoice. Well, Amazon didn't make it easier. And the reason for that is that for you to get on board with Vendor Central, you sign a few agreements with them. It can be different agreements. It can be a marketing agreement, a damage allowance agreement. So what happened with the payments from Amazon is that Amazon will pay one side, but it will also deduct on the other. And that might be a bit confusing if you don't have the proper training and processes inside. That's when you get that maze that we saw in the beginning. So just think about that. When you receive the payment from Amazon, you will be receiving a payment back that can be from an invoice, some deductions that Amazon did in the past that got reversed. You can receive back some provisions that Amazon did too. Provisions are monies that Amazon sets aside. It usually happens only for new vendors, but Amazon sets aside and then revert the payment back to you in 2-3 weeks. And those are the payments that you can receive, a few examples. But then Amazon also deducts, and they deduct those agreements. They are called co-op agreements, MDF agreements. They will also deduct those provisions. They will deduct chargebacks. Chargebacks are kind of fees that Amazon inputs to the vendors. They can be a lot of types. The most commons are ASN related, meaning that maybe you didn't do the ASN submission properly and there was an error, or it's not compliant. Other type of chargebacks. You told Amazon that you were delivering on the 20th, but for some reason you delivered on the 22nd. That's a non-time compliance chargeback. So there's a lot of different chargebacks that Amazon will deduct from the payments. Another deductions they will do is shortage claims. Shortage claims are unfortunately more usual than they should. It means that you accepted an order from Amazon for 10 items and you dispatched 10 items, but Amazon says they received only 8. Of course, Amazon, there's a process to dispute these kind of shortages, but Amazon, if you don't do it quick, if you don't have a process and the training how to deal with these situations, they will deduct it from payment. You will still be able to dispute it, but the purpose of a good process and training is to avoid that deduction, because if they deduct it, then you have to chase it and receive it back. They will also deduct some marketing costs from PPC ads. They will also deduct. And how can this be a bit of a complex system? Well, if you don't have that training, if you don't know what's happening, if you don't understand how Amazon processes the payments, you will feel lost. And everybody wants to get paid once they do the delivery, and they will. Amazon is a fair pay. They pay on time, but you need to know what are they deducting, what are they paying. And in the end, just think that I've seen with some clients in the beginning before the training, I've had CFOs in a meeting saying to me, this is impossible to work. I give you this example. This invoice was for 17,000 euros and they are only paying 12,000. What happened? And then I show them on the screen, well, actually, they actually paid you those 17,000, but they deducted 2,000 for this, 2,000 for that. And once people understand how Amazon works on the payments, they get a bit more aware how it works, and the proper training will make them to succeed with this. It's not easy. Finance, it's always that part. As I say, I have this saying, I always deal with 3 amazing people from 3 different teams: sales, finance, and logistics. I never hide it. My favorite are logistic people. They are like me. They love processes. They love a good challenge. And fair enough, they are the funny people to go to party. But finance is that part of the team that, you know what, you did your job well selling and growing the account. That came from sales. You know what, you did an amazing job delivering. That came from logistics. If the finance is not chasing the money, then we didn't do anything. And I say to my clients, we're not a charity. We are here to sell a product, to sell a brand, and to make it grow. So finance is a very important key of that cross-functional team. They are all super important. If you think about our talk for this presentation, each one of them has a key role that then will be centralized in that main point of contact from sales. That's the person they will go if something happens. Finance will go to the vendor central manager to ask him, I got deducted this, can you please confirm it's correct? The logistic person will go to the main point contact to ask, I cannot deliver this on this day, can you please work with Amazon to find a solution to another delivery date? And this is how I envision that cross-functional team needs to work for success.
That's great. Yeah, indeed, finance is a must-have team.
Yeah. No one is a charity.
Yeah, it's a business in the end. Yeah, the business has to grow, has to be profitable. Otherwise, what are we doing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to just quick to give my vision. So I founded Blue Dot on these 3 pillars: sales, logistic, and finance. As you can see, performance, it's coming from those 3 pillars. If you align your cross-functional team, if you have someone, an expert like me, to come to step in, first of all, to check what kind of people do you have, what roles you have available, how to allocate them to the different parts to play, and then we will check together the current SOPs, the standard operating processes. Are they adjustable to Amazon? If they are, what do we need to change, to remove, to include? Or if they're not, and usually that happens, we'll build them from scratch, because for Amazon, a lot of things are a bit different. So how to win? It's with this cross-functional team. Let's remove that maze from them, because if they don't have that training, they will not succeed.
Yeah.
And
Perfect.
this is how I envision those three pillars surrounding the cross-functional team. You will have on one side those SOPs, on the other side the best practice that are coming from training and know the compliances, and then you have your tools, everything that we need to work to align. Amazon Vendor Central can be a great strategic partner for a brand or an official distributor, as long as we can align first, clean your house first to succeed later. And this is how I always envision. This is the reason I founded Blue Dot, because I noticed that a lot of companies are getting invited by Amazon, and Amazon allows the companies to access a lot of trainings. But what I find about those trainings is that they are full in content. They are very rich in content. But if you never spoke with anyone how to start, it will be very hard just with those trainings alone for you to succeed.
Yeah, that's for sure. So again, knowing everything about the backstage of Amazon Vendor Central is very important, because that will save you a lot of time and money in the end.
Especially in money, yeah. Especially money. Because with Amazon, as we just covered, the chargebacks are always there. And I've seen companies to see their profit margin to erode substantially, just because they didn't have the processes internally. And another thing I can mention, Marcel, is that those processes need to include, and for me, these are two key parts. They need to include the part of visibility and traceability. Visibility, why? To give the main point of contact of sales across the team what's happening, and traceability to allow him, even in 3, 4, 12 months, to trace back what might have happened wrong. And Amazon, it's known to go back 12 months, 18 months back, sometimes with audits, and say, okay, you owe us this money. If you don't have that traceability in place, it will not allow you to figure it out, and maybe to tell Amazon, yeah, that didn't happen like that. Can you please schedule a meeting, and I would like to discuss this. And Amazon will always be there to listen, that's for sure.
Super. Bruno, yeah, that's very important, and thank you for that.
Thank you, Marcel. It's always a pleasure to speak with people that are interested.
Yeah, it's very important, and thank you for sharing all this information with us. Here's the information. I will also add it in the description, how the way people can reach out to you, Bruno, and to learn more and maybe schedule a call with you.
Yes, I'm always available.
Perfect. Not always.
Bring me new challenges, and that's what I'm keen about. I always love a new challenge, something different.
I understand. So yeah, that's very important. Also, talking about challenges, I would like to raise here the flag about the Nerf gun that you have hidden behind you there. Yeah, before starting this, if you can show it to the guys here, it's really important. Yeah, to see, like, it's a small piece of weaponry from the Nerf industry.
I started my career on vendor central management in a gaming company, and we had one of the funny things we had. Each one of us had a Nerf gun, and of course, I was responsible for a big part of the business. So this was my Nerf gun. This is a Nerf Mega with the electric 36 shoot round.
Whoa.
And everybody knew that no one messes with Amazon.
So yeah, in case Amazon does something out of place, Bruno
Yeah,
will just
well,
chase them with a Nerf gun.
we had a lot of funny stories between us. Each one of us had their Nerf guns, and sometimes it was a gaming company, very young people, a lot of fun, a lot of work too, long hours, but a lot of fun. And I actually won this Nerf gun in a bet with my CEO regarding the Amazon target. So in my first year, I was in the company for not even 6 months, and I made a bet with my CEO. And what I wanted if I won was this gun. And he asked me, why do you want the gun? And I said, well, because you shot me with it, and it's the biggest one in the office. So I won it.
That's a great story, and it is really a beautiful gun and big one as well.
Yes.
So yeah,
It's just for memorabilia now here in the office. It's part of my history where I started with e-commerce and part of my initial success. Having fun, always having fun.
mixing work with fun is important,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it's a good way to burn some steam in a way or another, just pressing the trigger
Well,
or doing
when
other
when
things.
you work with Amazon for so long as I do, I follow one of their mottos: work hard, have fun, and make history. And
Oh,
I definitely follow one of those. And every time I speak with people from Amazon, if I feel to, I would always say that to him, and people know what we mean, because when you
super.
work for this long, and I'm always in contact with people that work directly to Amazon, you will get along with different people. And I still have good friends from many years in Luxembourg, in Mexico, in the US, that a few of them are no longer in Amazon even, but we still talk
Yeah,
once in a while, usually on birthday or Christmas.
that's awesome. Right
Yeah.
on. Bruno, thank you for the insightful presentation. And yeah, make sure that all the description will contain the information on how people can reach out to you.
Thank
Uh,
you.
and yeah, if any questions arise, I'll make sure to get you informed. So, or people can reach out to you directly. Simpler that way. Reach out to Bruno if you have any
Yeah.
questions. And yeah, Vendor
Text
Central is a
message.
nice place to be. Yeah, according to Bruno. I mean Seller
It is.
Central, but yeah.
If done correctly, and that's why I'm here to help, it's a very good place to be.
Awesome.
Amazon only considers long-term partnerships for their vendor onboarding, and done right, knowing the rules, proper training and processes, it will be a success.
That's the key to success actually in any
Yeah.
business, not only Amazon Vendor Central, but in this case, it's very
Yeah.
important. Bruno, thank you very much for your time and for your
Thank you,
presentation.
Marcel.
And yeah, we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.